This message is for the armchair psychologist. Now, I think some of you already know what an armchair psychologist is. This is a person who's read all the books, went on Google, went on Wikipedia, went on WebMD, got all the information that they wanted to get, and have certified themselves as a psychiatrist, and they go around diagnosing everybody. Let me tell you people something. Now, if you have not taken a single psychology course and have not attended any classes in regards to psychology, you cannot and should not try to diagnose anybody within earshot of you. That's a dangerous thing to do. There are a lot of people that are out here that are suffering emotionally, mentally, psychologically, and they may look to you for help, and you turn around and give them the wrong information, and it may cost them their life. This is no joke. Stop playing around with it. And I notice that there are certain terms that are trending right now. People think it's okay, and what they'll do is when they come across a person that's difficult without any experience at all, they're throwing these terms around, and it's wrong. And another thing, if you know somebody in your family who's a psychology major or has received a degree in psychology, if you're related to that person, it does not give you the right to try to solicit free advice from them. These people have gone to school, gotten a degree for 4, 6, 8, 10 years, and that is their living. So in other words, they get paid for their advice. And for you to take advantage of your position as their relative and to use their resources for free, that's wrong. How would you like it? Let's say somebody's gone to school to be an engineer. Let's say a chemical engineer. Gone to school to be a chemical engineer. They gone to school and they finally got themselves a position. They're practicing in their field, but just because they're your cousin or whoever the case may be, every 2 seconds. Now, I'm not talking about an occasional favor every now and then. Every 2 seconds, you're asking them to do something in relation to chemistry. Something that's in regards to their position. For nothing. That's taking advantage of people. That's wrong. And I'm going to tell you right now, it happens a lot with people who are psych majors. And I'll be honest with you, there are some of my family members, I don't even know if they even know I have a degree in psychology, and I don't advertise it. When I go to family functions and things like that, I don't mention my discipline, because once upon a time there was a situation where I was going through school, almost out of school, and every 2 seconds there were certain relatives that would call and ask me about certain things in regards to psychology. And when I look up, I spent 2-3 hours trying to tell them about it. And first of all, that was wrong because they didn't understand half the things I was talking about. And second of all, that's 2 to 3 hours I could have charged for that. Yeah, I know their family and you're supposed to help them, but see what happens is once you help them in their regard, especially when it comes to things like psychology and mental health counseling and things like that, once you find that one relative, they ask you for that advice one time, right before you know it, you're spending a lot of your time that you could be spending getting paid for it, trying to help out this relative for free. That 1 30-minute conversation all of a sudden turns into daily phone calls, turns into face-to-face sessions, turns into you doing all this extra work, and by the time you look up, you've spent about 5-10 hours a week with this person, and that's 5-10 hours of money that you're out of. And then not to mention the emotional toll on you. That's why it's highly recommended, because of bias, you're too close to the situation. It's highly recommended that if you are a psych major or a psychologist or a psychiatrist dealing with the mental health sciences, is that you do not participate or pre-diagnose or anything like that with relatives. Don't do it with nobody close to you. It's not because you're being greedy and you feel you could get the money and everything else. That has nothing to do with it. is simply because it's time. And because these people are close to you and they know that your relationship is not going anywhere because they're related to you or you're legally bound, they're going to take time away from you. And everybody knows in business, time is money. And not to mention, you can't give 100% to other people who really need your help, who are paying customers, because you're emotionally spent due to this situation that's close to you. That's why it's always good to give a referral. Always good. Because there was a case in point where I was still in graduate school, last year of my undergrad, going into graduate school, and I found myself, I gave a little bit of information, and then I found myself like every other day talking to a couple of people in the family about it. And I thought to myself, when I sat there and tallied it up, I was like, wait a minute, I gave them 4 or 5 hours this week. I could have been getting paid. So no, don't do that. Don't do that. Because they'll take advantage of the fact, oh, well, you should know, you the psychologist. First of all, I'm not a psychologist. I am a psych student. I am studying psychology. There's a difference between a psychologist and a psych student. A psychologist has already completed their training, has been certified by the state, the board, and everything else, and is in practice. That's what a psychologist or a psychiatrist is. Don't go around calling these people things that they're not yet. And if they are a psychologist or a psychiatrist, they may not be studying the area that you're referring to. You're sitting up here asking this person about marital situations, and you studying child psychology. What you asking them questions for? You sitting up here asking them about industrial psychology, which is a thing now, where you have these psychologists that deals with industries and organizations. Businesses and things like that, corporate psychology. This person probably studied industrial and corporate psychology, and you asking them questions about your kids. That's not what they studied. But because you see the word psychologist, you figure you could run to them all the time. Cousin so-and-so calling you, uncle so-and-so calling you, sister calling you, this one. Well, what so-and-so is going on. What do you think? And it gets to the point where you don't want to talk to that person, you as the student, because instead of having a regular relationship as you did before, all of a sudden you're the family counselor and you're taking on all this emotional stress. It's like when they call you now, it's not just to shoot the breeze anymore. It's always some kind of problem they want you to solve for them. And what they're doing is they're trying to be slick. They're trying to avoid going to a certified psychologist because, number one, they probably don't want anybody to know that seeking therapy. They don't want to be embarrassed, so to speak. And second of all, they might not have the money to go pay to see someone. So they'll use you as a shortcut. Oh, well, my sister's a psychologist. Oh, my cousin's a psychologist. Oh, my niece is a psychologist. Oh, my granddaughter's a psych. And first of all, they're not a psychologist. They're a psychology student. And you say, oh, I'll just go to them. I don't need to go see anybody else. But you need to go see somebody else. You need to go see somebody who is not close to the situation so they can provide an objective view of what they see. Someone who does not know who you are, who does not have a vested interest and does not have a viewpoint in your life so they can look at things objectively and be able to scientifically diagnose and assist with trying to help you resolve your problem. That's why you should go to somebody on the outside. There are people who are psychologists who go to psychologists. And part of the reason why they go is because they're taking on so much emotional energy throughout the day practicing. They start to get stressed out and they go to a psychologist so they can maintain. Not because they have problems, just so they can maintain. It's a lot. It's just like if you work as a machinist 8 to 10 hours a day, you're physically tired at the end of the day. You don't want to turn around and go home and have to do more of the same work for nothing. So it's the same thing with emotions. Why would you sit there and you would contact someone who's been studying or working in the same discipline all day long, 8 to 10 hours, and getting paid for it, And then they come home and you expect them to spend another hour or two on the phone or in person with you doing the same thing for free. It's not fair, is it? These people have gone to college to study to a discipline in which they can make a living just like any other major. Just like if a nurse is studying nursing and they go to work as a nurse, they expect to get paid for nursing. They might do a little help every now and then, but for the most part, they're looking to get paid. It's the same thing with psychology. So now that I've broken it down to you, if you're one of these people that are guilty of taking advantage of that person in the family who's done that, first of all, start treating them like a human being and stop looking to them to be an emotional cleanup person. Go back to treating them like a person, because what's going to happen is after a while, they're not going to want to have to talk to you. They don't want to communicate with you. Because the minute they see your number pop up on the phone, they'll be like, oh, Lord, I know what they want. They want me to fix some problem for free, and I ain't got time for that. So you done created a gap in the communication. You created a bridge between the both of you just because you don't want to go to a professional. You already know that situation you're referring to requires professional services. Stop it. Stop looking for shortcuts. And then when you get a little bit of information from that relative, you figure you got all the answers and you're going to handle it yourself. You're making the situation worse. That's what you're doing. You are making the situation worse. It's good that there's information out there on Google and Wikipedia and WebMD and all of the psych channels, Psych Today and all that. It's good to have that information out there to the public, but you have to understand. When you read a lot of that information, the average person is not going to understand half of what that stuff is referring to, let alone know how to apply it. It requires a certain amount of education. This is serious business, people. There's nothing to laugh at. And these people that are studying, studying in that major, there's a lot of work involved. And it really infuriates me when I hear people say, oh, well, they're just a psych major. No. They got to study and do work just like everybody else. And if anything, they're under a lot more stress than some people because they got to turn around and deal with people like you on their off time looking for a free, instant, quick fix diagnosis for a major problem. So don't take advantage of these people. They are needed and they are necessary. Very necessary. And if you don't think psychologists are necessary in this world, okay, this is what you do. Go to bed tonight, get up in the morning, turn on the news and see how people behave and tell me psychologists aren't necessary in this world. Okay, tell me they're not. And I will go ahead and refer you to someone in your area that you need to talk to because you are severely disconnected from reality. Yeah, I said it. Stop taking advantage of these people. It's hard work. A lot of hard work. Just saying.